Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Living Longer Better physical activity awareness session, The Importance of Moving. So my name's Ruth Hards. I'm the health leader at Active Surrey. Active Surrey is the active partnership for Surrey, and we're one of 43 active partnerships in England. And as an active partnership network, we're locally led, non-profit strategic organisations, and we work with our local communities to bring people and organisations together to increase physical activity levels. So from an Active Surrey perspective, our whole aim and purpose is to get all residents in Surrey moving more and to realise the benefits of a more active way of life, focusing especially on those who need it most, so those people who are inactive and those facing inequalities. So in Surrey, 190,000 adults are classified as wholly inactive, which means that they do them less than 30 minutes of activity a week. And those with long-term health conditions are twice as likely to be inactive as those without. And we also know that over half of older adults, 65 plus in Surrey, are not meeting the recommended guidelines around physical activity from the Chief Medical Officer. So I don't think it's any surprise in Surrey, exactly the same as the trend across the country, that we have an ageing population and people are living longer. But sadly, we're seeing this increase in life expectancy isn't correlated with an increase in healthy life expectancy. And by that, we mean people's ability to live healthily, independently and free from disease. And in fact, in Surrey at the moment, for a man who's 65 years or over, they're likely to live 13 of their last 20 years in poor health. And for women, it's 14 of their last 22 years. So that's why we're really pleased to have you all today, so we can work collaboratively to get everybody moving more. So I will hand you over to Isabel now, who's going to deliver the rest of the training.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm Isabel. I'm actually part of a PCN as well. So I'm helping Active Surrey deliver this presentation. But like all of you, we've probably, encountered lots of people who could benefit from physical activity, and having those conversations with them, it can be met with quite a few barriers or, uncertainty. So whilst we're all in a really privileged position and we all know to have these conversations is important, today we're just going to cover the best ways to have them and all the practical tips that are at our disposal should we need to, sort of sign people towards and give them ideas of how to stay healthy and active, which is important for all of us actually, so that we can impart that knowledge to others. So, if we're selling something, we should also be engaging in it so that we can be the best we can be too. So this is something quite fun. It's called the flamingo test. Not sure if any of you have heard of it. I mean, it's very evident as to what this might be for us to do, but it's about the benefits of standing on one leg and a simple way to improve our balance, which is pretty much the unsung sort of physical activity we all need to keep doing, especially as we age. So it's also a really good indicator by standing on one leg as a predictor of how one will remain in good health in, say, 10 or 15 years' time. So this was devised by Kyoto University in Japan. They asked 1,300 men and women aged in the region of 67 to stand on one leg with their eyes open and to keep their balance for 20 seconds. And then that was a good indicator of brain health. So I'm going to urge you all, not now, although we can if we want, but really, once you get these slides off the back of today, do have a look and see where you're at. Those are the ranges. So they'll be on the slides that come out that Ruth will share with you all. But this is where the range sits for eyes open. And even if you don't hit those seconds in the first instance, the most beautiful thing about this is practice makes perfect. So you're going to be able to do that. And actually, I recently had an ENT appointment with a consultant, and this was a really good format for them to use. And they did actually use it on me. I can hands down attest that I was brilliant because I've been practicing, but they were impressed anyway. So, but the also other indicator of that is we can get to do this with our eyes closed as well. Stand near a wall for this one, worktop, kitchen, table high enough to just slam your hand down. But if you can do it with your eyes closed, we're on a winner. And any time with eyes closed is tricky, but here are the ranges again. Have a go and do it later on today and improve upon it. So that's a little bit of fun stuff right there, or valuable as well, actually. So before we really launch into today's session, I've got 2 quick questions for everyone, and Ruth's going to launch a poll in order for you to answer it. So they're really straightforward. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how knowledgeable are you on the importance of being active as you get older? That's question 1. And question 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in having conversations about being more active with others? So 1 obviously is not so good and 10's brilliant. I'm going to ask the same 2 questions at the end of today's session. Polls are up. Get your fingers to the buzzers. Let's see where we are today.
So we can see we've got a real mix in terms of knowledge on the importance of being active age, right through 5 all the way up to 10. And then we've got in terms of confidence in having conversations with others, again, that same spread of 5 to 7. So what we'll do is hopefully we're going to share these same questions at the end, and hopefully we'll have had an impact, a positive impact on those scores from what Isabel's going to talk to you about for the remainder of the session.
Hopefully. Great. So let's kick off. Physical activity and its benefits. So in your mind, think about what those might be. We all know really what the benefits are, but, you know, have a good think, pick one and decide what that might be. And as we progress, let's see if we hit that. So Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer, back in 2019, did a really comprehensive report on the benefits of engaging communities and local populations in physical activity. And this is a fabulous strapline. Take a minute to think about it. And I'm sharing it because if physical activity were a drug, we'd refer to it as a miracle cure, due to the great many illnesses it can prevent and help treat. So, you know, one of those key illnesses is the type 2 diabetes that it can, you know, reverse if we get involved with physical activity. So what is that? I mean, the take-home message from this slide is any movement and every movement counts. Less sedentary time is the key thing. So it's not just exercise, which is structured for fitness or sport. Being active could involve pretty much anything. I mean, pre-COVID, that could be, because most of us actually work from home now, which is, you know, a bad thing in the sense that we're sitting down a lot more than we should be. But it could be involved if you're still out and about, like us social prescribing or health and wellbeing coaches, traveling to work. If we're local, then leave the car, walk more. You know, household chores back in the good old days, the grandmas would be on their hands and knees doing a good wipe on the floor. That's still a really brilliant movement. That works your core, that works your shoulders. You know, it keeps all the joints and muscles well oiled, as it were. So it's thinking about not seeing household as a chore, but actually seeing it as a benefit of burning some calories and keeping mobile. So we know that terminology is super important. And the words like exercise, fitness, sport, you know, can be highly intimidating for a lot of people and put them off. They disconnect as soon as you throw those words at them. So, you know, to come up with something as lovely as this on the first tile, active living, it's the most feasible option for anyone to incorporate some form of physical activity in their lives. So, and we know that people actually want to be more active. They want to incorporate that into their lives, and they want to know how to do it. So we're going to cut to that as well in a moment. So what are the benefits of being active? Well, on the whole, we know quite a few of them. So it really does improve sleep. It can improve your confidence. I hear that a lot. You know, once people have engaged, their returning sort of benefits of what comes out from that is, well, I feel much more confident and much more able, much more steady on my feet. You know, I can walk the dog better without worrying about sort of falling over. So there's a whole rafter here that you can see the benefits of getting physically active. So I think, again, the key thing is to point out that for anyone that's not doing anything, that as soon as they start, they're going to see the benefits of that quicker. So anyone doing less than 30 minutes per week will see the greatest improvements in their health for every additional minute of physical activity. So in a recent new study, it also found that exercise was 1.5 times more effective than meds for depression, and anxiety for people who are older than 45 and possibly deconditioned. So there's been many studies to show that walking just 20 to 40 minutes each day was a particular, it was very effective for improving depression and anxiety. And that's according to Dr. Ben Singh, who I think is one of the doctors on this morning, or was one of the doctors. So not sure, bit of snippet of information here. If any of you have heard of telomeres, if not, they're basically strands of DNA that sit like protective caps at the end of those shoelaces that, mainly shoes are slip-ons now, but back in the days when we had shoelaces, you've got the little plastic caps. So wonderful lady, Elizabeth Blackburn, is a molecular biologist, and she shared her findings once she won her Nobel Peace Prize for her research on telomeres. So these structures at the tips of the chromosomes, they play a really key role in our cellular aging. And she was really frustrated that the findings of this, study weren't shared to the masses, to you and I, and it was very much in the realms of academia. So along with a psychologist, they published a book called The Telomere Effect. But in essence, I'm just cutting it right down. This book says that we've got more control over our own aging than any of us can imagine. And that means we can actually, so as we age, and if we're not in good health, the telomeres shrink. But if we remain physically active and healthy in lots of other ways, good ways of keeping our mind active as well, you can actually lengthen your telomeres and perhaps your life. Effectively, that's what she's saying, and that's based on a very long-term study. So physical activity is key to success of, aging well, being independent, living longer better is what we want to get to. So this screen here, brilliant, because it gives you some stats. That big stat there, that's the winner, 68%. So these are the health benefits of physical activity. You can reduce hip fractures by 68%, type 2 diabetes by up to 40%. I mean, it's really key. You can share some of these out with some of the people that you come into contact with through your roles. But dementia, falls and frailty, it's one of being the third most feared condition as people age, and being active can significantly reduce the risk of all those conditions. So, being insufficiently active heightens health risks in older adults and can potentially shorten lifespan. And those health risks include, and we know them all, the cardiovascular and metabolic disease that we come across, loss of physical function, the muscle wasting, loss of cognitive function, dementia, depression, and injury due to weakened bones and falling. So, and we'll get to this slide in a minute, I've just jumped, but as we all age to 50, I'm 52, it's a natural decline for our bone density. It sort of starts, but we can reduce the quickness of that decline by remaining active and making sure we're doing activities that improve muscle strength and bone strength. So just climbing the stairs 7 minutes a day can halve the risk. If you've got stairs, if you haven't, you can do other things, but I'm just using the stairs as an example. 7 minutes a day can halve the risk of a heart attack over 10 years. Remarkable, right? 7 minutes of investment in your life a day is priceless. And just 2 minutes of extra stair climbing a day is enough to stop average middle-age weight gain, which happens to the best of us as well. Different types of physical activity, here they are. We've got the aerobics and we've got the strengthening. So the strengthening, build strength, improve our balance, keep our muscles and bones and joints strong. And the cardiovascular, active by being, include it moderately or vigorously or very vigorously for some of us. If we can, reach the very vigorously, that would be great. These are all going to make a massive difference to muscle and bone strengthening and, obviously our balance, as I've touched on. So across our lifespan, it's important for different reasons. So, to develop strength and build healthy bones during childhood and young adulthood. And we want to maintain that strength in our adulthood. And then we want to, I touched on it, delay the natural decline in muscle mass and bone density that occurs from around 50. Can't be helped, it happens. But let's delay it because we can. And we're in charge of our bodies. We're in control. So generally, better health across one's lifespan can reduce disease and disability in older age. It's never too late to start. And that motto again, every movement counts, is totally correct. Whenever you start, you'll see the biggest gains. So these are the guidelines that we've all probably seen as well. This is, you know, again, this was in the report that Chris Whitty put together, Chief Medical Officer. But here, look, how do we get that? That 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity is, you know, is the guideline to hit. It's just over 2 hours across 7 days a week, not the working week. We've got 7 days in the week. And all of us, we can all do a lot better with pushing ourselves a little bit more to do a lunchtime walk, to perhaps when we're waiting at the kettle, not just to stand there if we're in the kitchens at, you know, in one of our communal areas at work, if we, you know, come up onto your toes, keep coming up onto your toes, get those calves activated. That burns calories as well, improves your balance. There's lots of things we can do, and we're going to get through to that in a minute on some of the other slides. But, you know, we want to include strengthening, we want to include cardiovascular, and we want to reduce sedentary time. So that's breaking up periods of inactivity. So really that should happen. I won't do it today because we're all in front of the screen, although I might. Every 20 minutes to 30 minutes, we should at least get up, shake ourselves, you know, get our blood pumping. Don't let that plaque get into the arteries and the veins to build up and reduce the blood flow in our body. I mean, one of the analogies that I like to use about that is consider ourselves all a lovely vintage bottle of wine. We're lying on our sides, and those beautiful sediments from the grapes and the grape skin in that fine bottle of wine start coming down. They slope down to the bottle at the bottom, lying on its side. Those are our arteries and veins, and that's the plaque. But if we lift the bottle, not shake it too much because we don't want to take the taste, that then sort of disperses, which it would do in our bodies as well. So the more blood we pump through and flush out the pipes, our veins and arteries, the less time that nasty plaque has got there to sit and clog those arteries, leading to all sorts of cardiovascular problems and the rest, and neural pathway problems, dementia. So get up, move, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, do something for 2-3 minutes. So again, I've touched on this. We want to minimize our sedentary time. Now look, here, standing 3 hours or more a day equals to a burn off of 30,000 calories per year. I mean, wow, just by standing. So I'm not sure how this is applicable to any of you, all of you, but for me personally, I've got my laptop that I work off, and in the mornings I stand and work at the laptop. So I don't sit down for the morning. I'm working at a worktop level, if I'm in one of the surgeries, I work next to the sink. Pleasant, but it's just that the worktop is that level for me because I'm only 5'2", so it works perfectly. And that way I'm not sitting down, I'm moving about, I'm on the phone because I get to use my mobile, and I walk and talk, as they say. It's a real Americanism, walk and talk, but I do walk and talk. And again, I'm burning all those calories, which none of us think of doing, but you know, this is about active living, and this is how you incorporate it into your day. So this graph is lovely in that it shows that every movement counts, and look at the increase here for someone that has done nothing or very little. They get the maximum benefits if they're doing less than 30 minutes a week so far, and then they start engaging. Look at that, boom, all the way up. Then we plateau about here. That's me, who then has to push themselves a bit harder each and every time. So I box, I run, I cycle, I do martial arts, and I run my own classes as well. And I can't tell you how excited I get about pushing myself, because you get that buzz that nothing else gives you on this planet. Our own endorphins are our own inner, dare I say it, drug. But there it is, that the mental boost is phenomenal. So by being active, it reduces our cognitive decline. And that is also one of the things that no one really sort of realizes or understands how that can happen in terms of how our neural pathways also stay in shape. And we build new ones. It doesn't matter what age you are. Even in the adult brain, not only do existing synapses adapt to new circumstances, but new connections are constantly formed and reorganized. So just learning a new routine or dance step can do this, and it improves your memory 100%. So long-term health conditions, you know, walk, but don't run to start with. Don't be put off with that. Small little bits with little goals every day get to big things, and it will happen. So even if, you know, our clients or our patients have got, however we term them, serious health condition, it's best just to get up off the couch and start moving if you can. So choose low impact active living, physical activity. I'm going to say the word exercise, slap wrist, but movements, and start slow and use things. There are lots of things out there that are available for us, like resistance bands, bottles of water. We've got those, you know, the fabric conditioner that comes with the handle at the side. You know, if we keep hold of those and fill that up with a little bit of water afterwards, you know, we can use that. Well, so if we can't stand up and we're chair bound, there's plenty of chair exercises. We're going to cover that off as well in a minute. So ideas and practical tips to stay active. Oh, I've just got ahead of myself. But in the long term, these are the basics, and we all understand these. We do choose something that we enjoy or that we used to enjoy and we want to get back into, because now we understand the benefits of why we need to do that. So if we used to enjoy a bit of dancing or line dancing, love line dancing, there's lots of places locally, and we'll talk about signposting. Start slow, build, small changes, set goals and make a plan. I can't emphasize that enough. So that goal could be, I've got a lady who's going off to her see her sister next year in the States, and they haven't seen each other for years and years, and she always remarks about how good the sister looks, which is good, and this sister also wants to look good and feel healthy to do all the walks that the other sister does in the States. So that is a plan, and for that we have to set goals, which we have. So there'll be something, whether it's that visit that they're going off to see a relative, or, you know, someone getting married, or the fact that you just want to walk with your friends more and be part of the Ramblers group but can't quite make the 2 miles yet. Let's put a goal, set some targets in place to attain that. Buddy up if you can.
Isabel, sorry, can I just, we just had a comment in the chat about someone who's worrying about recommending easy exercises, and maybe that could make a patient's pain worse, so especially with hip, knee and back pain. So I didn't know if you just wanted just take a moment to talk about that, really.
I mean, that does tick the boxes of, like, you know, in your head that, oh my goodness, I can't do this because I've got this hip. Well, actually you can, because the synovial fluid in our joints needs to build up so that we can, and we can only do that if we move them. And it's like the whites of an egg, that's the fluid in between our joints, and it's sticky, and the less sticky, the more it rubs. So in order to pump that into your joints, you have to move more. Now, just by way of example, I've got a chap who I've worked with for a few months now. He's 70, and he's had 2 hip replacements. And he was very fearful when we first started, and he almost like moved a bit like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. I cannot tell you 100% now, hand on heart, and I've actually got him in a video. He does star jumps now in just 4.5, 5 months. He's doing star jumps, and he's getting up and down off the mat, and he's running. He's doing side shuffles, which I call the NFL runs. So you side shuffle to one side of the hall, you touch down with your hand to the floor, you stand up and you side shuffle to the other. He has told me that he hasn't done that in the last 40, 50 years, and that he never expected to do that again. So with anything, you start slow and you build up on it, but you have to commit. You have to be in the mindset to commit to do that, and you will get there. I hope that answered that. We can chat after if I have enough time. I'll definitely do that if you want to ask something else. So yeah, so you know, get outdoors as well. We live in a great county. There's lots of trails and walks on pathways. That's the other thing. People are quite fearful of like tripping over if it's uneven paths. Stay on the path. There's plenty. You know, there's places that you can get in for free. Lots of National Trust places that have got the pathways all cleared for you to do so. You know, and it also, you know, if you've got a walking aid, you need those paths to be fairly clear and you know, no bumps, so that you can get out there and walk with your aid if need be. So the more time we consider to do this and get involved, the better we're going to see the results. And now's the time of year to do it. We're in the best a month to actually motivate ourselves to get out there and make these changes, so that we build this new habit, so that when the winter comes, there are opportunities to do other things as well. So there are lots of ways to be active, and here they've sort of starred them off as to what they'd be for muscle function, in bone health, and improvement in balance. So whilst you're having a quick look at that, the Sport and Recreation Alliance, along with its 26 members from the Movement and Dance Division, along with a consortium of academic professionals specialising in research on movement and dance, they've recently published a report on the benefits of movement and dance. So if one does this and partakes in dance, it prevents more cases of breast cancer and hip fractures than its market share, along with a host of other benefits, including delayed onset of Parkinson's disease, reduced loneliness, and it improves retention in both inactivity of both young and older people and people living with disabilities. So dance and Parkinson's, the unique combination of dance and music to negotiate the symptoms of Parkinson's, particularly in relation to motor skills, is a benefit not found in some other exercise treatments, such as, I don't know, the treadmill, walking. So dance and movement activity has been shown to improve the gait, including dynamic balance in people with Parkinson's disease. And the relationship to the music and rhythm also allows them to move more easily through the freezes that they get. So dance and older people, so sorry, that's me being clicky. Dance for the older people is, regardless of its style, has been found to significantly improve muscular strength and endurance and balance and the aspects of functional fitness. And importantly, the social aspect of dance is so important as we age and in those particular age groups, to address social cohesion, loneliness, and their mental health and anxiety. So, there are lots of new dance classes springing up, and we're going to get to something called We Are Undefeatable a bit later on, and I'll share some really heartwarming stories from there, and that might tick off one of the questions that just came through on the chat as well. So what can you do to encourage everyone to move and move around during activities that you might actually be engaged with doing them, and at home ideas? So we had the idea of when the kettle's boiling, you could hold onto the surface and do some heel raises or squats, keeping up your strength and balance. Go off, don't offer. The key thing I used to do when I used to turn up at someone's house, I'd go, hello, let's say Joan. Hi, Joan, can I make you a cup of tea? Don't do that. Joan can make the tea and move around and do it herself. I'd like a cup of tea. Joan, you can make me the cup of tea. And whilst you're at it, can you do some heel raises? Let me see what you've got. So that encourages that behavior. When you're I'll move on to the next slide. When you're brushing your teeth, stand on one leg, do the flamingo. When you're brushing your teeth, you're near the sink, you've got balance there. If you need to put your hand down, don't cheat, don't put the foot down. Only joking, put your foot down if you need to. But, this little slide here shows us that toothbrushing doesn't need to be a boring, mundane job. We can be active, living well, doing it. Some 1 kg, 2 kg dumbbells. If you can't do that, fabric conditioner bottles are just perfect, the ones with the handle. Resistance bands, available everywhere. Sit in front of the TV, put your hands in between the resistance bands. Can we see my other hand? So put your hands into the resistance band and pull them apart. That's working muscles, make you sweat as well. If you can't get up, there are so many online supports that we're going to get to that shows you what you can do with the resistance bands that you can get anywhere. So let's get into having these conversations. So these are tips. Look, we all know how to have these conversations. It's very much based on an individual basis, but these are just reminders of how we can start to engage doing it. So we want to ask open questions. Obviously, we're trained to be encouraging, supporting, active listening, and then you can sort of signpost. So it's really thinking about our skills that we've developed and approach, rather than sort of specific wording. So we're going to get into some scenarios here, which are some poll questions. So you're having a chat with Natalie, who's 71 years old, and she lives alone. And she mentions now that she's sitting for much of the day. Out of 1, 2, and 3, you could say, have you been doing anything to stay active at home? Why aren't you doing any activities at home? And how are you managing to stay active? So Ruth's going to put the poll out. It'd be interesting just to see. None of these are wrong or right. It's just, you know, it might be that we can sort of tailor or pick something up new today with regard to how we approach. So go ahead, answer that question, please.
A real mix. Predominantly people are saying the third question, have you managed to stay active? But like I say, there's a mix across all of the questions.
Okay, great. So no wrong and right, but there are ones that are more engaging. So let's have a look. So yeah, number 3, that's that open question, because it's always good to start with what or how. Okay, because then that leads you beautifully into progression and developing this conversation. So it's a bit of an art form that you get used to very quickly. How are you managing to stay active? So it's a prompt really to developing an ongoing conversation. So again, get ready for the poll. Natalie says that she's struggling. She used to go out walking lots with friends. Unfortunately, that's all stopped for now. And her friends are doing online classes. So what you could say is, I really enjoy my online classes. Why don't you try that? Or it sounds like you used to enjoy your walks. How would you like to be active now? Or could you start going for short walks again?
Again, we've got predominantly people going for option B, but one person going for option C.
Okay, so, you know, just to give us a heads up and structure the conversation, you active listened. So, you know, option 2, it sounds like you used to enjoy your walks. You've actively listened, and now you're formulating a plan in your head as to how to signpost. You know, you're hooking them because they're committing themselves. So it's picking up a change in your talk, and you're active. So you're not advice giving, you're active listening. So we've got the last one coming up. So Natalie says she's not sure what she can do at home. She doesn't have a computer, which is the norm for a lot of people I see. She mentions that maybe getting back into the garden. So you could say, I've got a leaflet that may be useful. Would you like to see it? 2, gardening sounds great. What's the first thing you could do to get started? Or 3, you should be aiming to be active every day if you can. Last poll on that, please.
So again, a mix. So we've got predominantly question 2, gardening sounds great, and then a couple of people mentioning about the leaflet.
That's good, because well done everyone. It's 1 and 2 in this one, because the leaflet is going to be key. So would you like, you know, I've got a use, would you like to see it? I mean, after all that, I mean, obviously your conversation is going to be a bit broader. They're going to say, yes, we'd like to see the leaflet. And the gardening sound, so you've supported and encouraged what they like, and you've discussed next steps. Bingo, we're onto something here. Now we can set those goals and encourage them for those next steps before we speak to them again. So that's excellent. So, you know, you've picked up on cue, you've asked open questions, you've actively listened, you've focused on what's important to them, you encouraged, and you asked permission before signposting. Gold standard, tick, tick, tick. That's what we want to focus on. Lovely. So let's get to the signposting. This is really important for all of us, and it's, you're going to find something coming up incredibly useful, and I can't wait for Ruth to share that bit, so I get too excited. So Age UK, they've got their national website about being active. You know, that's an activity finder for exercise, healthy living. It's got a downloadable PDF, including ideas for keeping active. So Age UK Surrey, you know, they've got their own website as well, so definitely log on and have a look at that. Again, this is all going out in the slides, don't have to remember all of them, these will all be prompted again. So the NHS, fantastic, they've got the NHS Fitness Studio. I came across a group of GPs last week that weren't even fully aware of this, which, you know, it is amazing. You've got workout and fitness plans, equipment free and 10-minute workouts to cover all sorts of conditions, and it's again downloadable if you need it, and they've got lots and lots of health advice as well. So that's a good direction signposting for them and for us. Oh yes, we are undefeatable. Yes, we are. So this is a really good website that we can signpost our patients stroke clients to, who are suffering with long-term conditions, because these are very relatable stories. So they really do see someone who has possibly got the same condition, see what they're actually doing to improve the quality of their life. So lots of personal stories and ideas to get you started, and a YouTube video playlist. So just to tap in onto some of them, if on the website you click on one of these tiles, you can hear the personal stories of these particular individuals up here. So let me just tell you about John quickly. So he's got Parkinson's, does walking football currently, and as a younger man he always enjoyed football, which made his Parkinson's symptoms and diagnosis really hard, even harder to accept. But this walking football became a saving grace, because not only did it help him find ways to get back into moving, but it also helped him to connect with others living with health conditions. And it's the only hour of the week, John says, that makes him feel, and his friends feel, like their old selves, and the neural paths associated with his previous play kick in. He also tries to do things like yoga to keep his muscles supple. Geraldo here, he's got a heart condition and prostate cancer. He's found that some things were particularly difficult in the past are now nearly impossible, including some of the exercises he used to do before. So Geraldo hasn't given up. He's found that, and by no means this is not easy depending on the Pilates you do, but he's found Pilates, and which helps strengthen him, and whilst also being active. He also works moving in a way that he can sort of build into his daily routine. He likes walking, he does gentle cycling, which gives him the ability to be out and about and chatting to people he meets along the way. I mean, if you can, you know, drill into some of these stories. This one with Julian Peters is particularly great and moving, so definitely do drill in and get some of the clients' patients to have a look too. So wow, this is an amazing resource, really good. The virtual village hall set up by the Royal Voluntary Group. So this is just not for physical activity, but you've got crafting in there, baking, it's for all ages. There's also very specific classes for older adults and seated exercises too. It's got an ongoing calendar with many online classes a week, some famous faces too, Strictly professionals, I might say, from Strictly Dancing. They're really popular, and there are classes for things like Indian folk dancing, fit steps with a Strictly professional as well, yoga with back pain, mindful mobility Pilates. There's a rafter on there. So 94% of the people who have engaged with the virtual village hall have said that it's had a real positive impact on their mood and well-being. So definitely share that out with everyone that you can. Some great apps for those that are still digitally, you know, inclined or have found digital in their lives and see the benefits of doing it. So this is free. It's produced by Public Health England and used by the NHS. Active 10 to build up walking. It tracks and monitors your progress, and it's good for setting those all important goals and targets, and it's free. So again, that's a good signpost. So what about locally? Well, there's an abundance, and as I say, Surrey, great county, we've got plenty here. So the Active Surrey resources, which Ruth will share out with everyone. Ruth, did you want to move discuss any of these, or should I just leave it that you're going to share them out?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit aware of time, so I'll share a well, I'll show you where these are all located in the Professionals Hub in a moment, but if you'd like hard copies of any of these, then do send me an email afterwards and I can send some out to you.
Perfect. And there you have it. So this particular leaflet can either be downloaded as a PDF, but if you were to send it on electronically, again, if you were to click on these individual tiles, it gives you way more depth information, but you know, they're free handouts for signposting. Ruth, I'm going to hand back over to you because this is amazing, everyone. So Ruth, you sell it best. It doesn't need selling. It's amazing. Crack on.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, I'm just going to share my screen. So basically, we've created a health resource hub for professionals and volunteers. So obviously, some of the resources that Isabella's talked you through, they're fantastic online resources. There's so many national resources which are available, but we're very aware that you're all very busy, and we're really keen to make it as quick and easy for you to incorporate physical activity into the conversations that you're having. So we've pulled together the hub as a one-stop shop. So if ever you want any form of physical activity support for yourself or for your patients and clients, then we'd really like the hub to be your first port of call. And actually, if you can't find what you need, please do tell us. So you can access the hub through the URL at the bottom of the screen, which is activesurrey.com/professionals. Or you can go to, like I say, if you're on the Active Surrey website, you can navigate through the tabs. So I'm just going to share my screen now and quickly talk you through the hub here. Okay, so like I say, here is the Health Resource Hub, which I say you can navigate through the tab here. So what I'm going to do here is show you what we kind of do within the hub is we do it via who you're looking to support. So we obviously have a tab for older adults here, which I'll talk you through in a moment. And we also have a lot of information here around supporting adults with long-term health conditions. Nearly 60% of adults 60 plus have at least one long-term health condition. So we really wanted to provide, you know, a real wealth of information there. So I'll go into the older adults tab first. Before I do so, I will just scroll down just to let you know that here there are the copy of the Chief Medical Officer's guidelines for all different life stages. Obviously, we're talking about older adults today, but all the different life stages are there. And also at the bottom of the screen here, you can sign up to our newsletter. So what we do is every 3 months, we send a newsletter out to people talking about all of our upcoming training and also anything that we've added to the hub. So the plan is that this isn't a static resource. We're going to be adding more information as it comes out and increasing the number of long-term health conditions where we have information as well. And like I say, we'd love to hear from you. So if you go onto the hub and actually you don't find something that you feel you should have been able to find, or you have a particular need, then please just do fill in your contact details here. This comes straight through to me and I check this on a daily basis. So also, if you've got any positive feedback, we love a bit of positive feedback as well. So yeah, it would be great to hear from you. So I'm just going to go back to the top of the page. Sorry if I know I'm moving around quite a lot. So we'll click on the older adults tab first. So I will click on here, and what you'll see at the top of the page here is some quick links. There's a lot of information in the hub. So basically, I'll click first on the training and events. So what this does is this talks about any upcoming training. So as an example, we're next running this course on the 27th of September. There's also some additional e-learning that you can undertake at your leisure if you wanted to learn more. So there's information here from Health Education England, and also Samir Gray, who is really championing the whole Living Longer, Better revolution nationally. He's got an absolutely amazing learning programme for professionals and volunteers. It's just 12 short 6-minute e-learning modules. If you're interested in participating in this programme, please do just click on the link and send me some contact details. It's a very small cost, but we're covering the cost at the meantime, because we're really keen to do some pilot work and get some feedback on this training. We've then got downloadable resources, so a combination of national and local. So some of the flyers that Isabel showed you, and what you can do if you hover over here, it gives you a preview of the PDF, so you don't have to go through and click on lots of different links. So like I said, there's if you remember those two different categories of being active and strength and balance, there's some tools here, and also our foolproof strength and balance plan. So this is, sorry, I've got my background on here. So basically we've got prompt cards and a foolproof booklet. So we've handed out nearly 3,000 of these across Surrey. So they're really great 6 quick activities that people can do in and around the home. Either if they're not doing any form of physical activity, it's a great start. If they are active and they do some classes or they go out walking regularly, this is brilliant supplementary activities that they can do when they're boiling the kettle or cooking, or, as Isabel said earlier, brushing their teeth. So it's just, like I say, 6 simple exercises, and there's actually a tracker in there so people can kind of test and see their improvement as they kind of practice the exercises over time. We then go on, and like I say, we've got the free national and local resources, and this is the PDF that you can download that Isabel showed you a few moments ago. So like I said, I'm very aware of time, so I'm just quickly going to go into the long-term health conditions page. And there's this one thing I really want to focus on in here. So one of the tiles here is around resources for specific long-term health conditions. So if I click on here, what you can see is we have covered 11 long-term health conditions, and a lot of these are especially prevalent in older adults. So you can see we've got things like arthritis, dementia, Parkinson's, falls and frailty, osteoporosis. And what we've done here, we've taken all of the amazing national and local resources, and we've tried to put them all in one place. Now, what this doesn't do, this isn't an activity finder. This isn't going to tell you that there's a specific dementia cafe in a certain part of the county. This is more around the types of physical activity and how to have the conversation with people suffering from a specific long-term health condition. So as an example, with arthritis, if we take the top one here, we've got a conversation guide. So this is a fantastic resource for clinicians and non-clinical people around how to have a quality conversation to help people with arthritis to move more. There's some online links and downloadable PDFs in terms of tips and tools and specific types of physical activity, which are particularly helpful for people suffering from arthritis, including a Let's Move for Surgery toolkit. We've got e-learning modules, again, specifically on that long-term health condition, as well as training and guidance for any exercise and health professionals, because again, we want this hub to be suitable for anybody in a resident facing role, regardless of your profession or whether you're supporting in a voluntary capacity. We've then got downloadable resources that you can print off or share electronically with your patients and clients. And finally, those really, really important stories. So Isabel talked about We Are Undefeatable, and we've got other sources as well. So that's if you can either direct people that you're supporting or talk to them using some of these stories in terms of real life examples of people who have got the same long-term health condition and how they've used different types of physical activity to really ease some of their symptoms. So, and like I say, I could spend ages showing you this, but I really hope you think it will be useful in your role. Please do take the time, if you have it, to have a good look around. And like I say, I'd love to hear some feedback from you once you've had time to do so. So I will just stop sharing my screen, and Isabel, if you want to take back over.
I will. That's amazing. I mean, super encouraging stuff there. So, okay, so I am going to move on from this wonderful screen. Don't forget it, guys. Professionals Hub, amazing. So in summary, really, what we want to get out and what we understand ourselves want to understand is that we should all be doing some form of aerobic activity and something for muscle strength, balance and flexibility, the unsung things that we need to do, those two, balance and flexibility, so important. So it's going to promote, more productivity in terms of what you can do throughout your day, healthy aging. And look, it's a major role in improving everyone's quality of life. So in summary, we know, because we've covered it off in today's event, but physical activity, just increase it gradually and safely, and it provides amazing health benefits physically and mentally. So it's about remaining functional and independent, isn't it? We all want that. We've all worked so hard to pay into the system all our working lives. And when we come out the other side, we want to benefit from it. We want to do those walks. We want to run around with the grandkids if we get some. Please, God, I'd like loads. But, that's the importance of it. We don't just want to work and then have nothing for it afterwards. We want to age well. So next steps, all important. We're going to set some goals for ourselves. Really, let's think about who we're going to talk to this week about being active. If that's a self-talk, indulge, talk to yourself first. Make an activity goal for yourself, others, help them find that, and then find out further about the training and resources. And don't forget, you don't have to look further than the Professionals Hub that Ruth has just shown you. It's all there. Okay, last poll, everybody. It's the same 2 questions we had at the start of this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how knowledgeable are you about the importance of being active as you get older? And on the same scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in having those conversations about being more active with others? Hit those answers now.
So great to see we've gone kind of from a range of 5 to 10. Now we've gone to 7 to 10. And then in terms of the confidence, again, we've gone from 5 to 7 up to 6 to 10. So hopefully that means that everybody's found some benefit from attending the session today. So thank you very much.
And thank you from me. Do I need to put the QR code on now, or are you going to share out?
Yeah, if you're able to do that, that would be great. Like I say, we really value your feedback. We know you're giving up precious time. We really want to make sure that we make the training as effective as possible. So be very, very grateful if people could just take a couple of minutes just to provide us with some feedback. So if you're able to do that before you leave the call, that would be absolutely brilliant. I will put the URL into the chat as well in a moment. And if anyone who's listening to this recording would like a copy of the slides, please send me an email at active.surrey@surreyct.gov.uk. So thank you very much.